In my last Tesla video, I drove this Model 3 Performance for 24 hours and talked about my experience with the car. Even though my thoughts were overwhelmingly positive, there were a few things that concerned me.
I'm definitely not over range anxiety. If I'm on a long trip, I really don't want to have to wait 45 minutes for the car to charge up.
It would seem the Tesla community only hears the few negative concerns I had with the car. They sure were quick to let me know how wrong I was in the comments section. But since I'm old and slow and stuck in the past, another thing the comments made abundantly clear, I can't just take their word for it. I need to see this stuff for myself. So to do that, I'm going to take this Tesla Model 3 Performance on a trip that I would usually take with one of my other cars. See, once or twice every year, my family and I drive to Disney. It's about 1,200 miles one way. Since I've done it so many times, I have the entire process pretty much down. We leave at about 4 a.m. and arrive in downtown Disney at about 9 p.m. So if the Tesla folks in my comment section are right, this Tesla Model 3 Performance should easily make it in roughly the same amount of time with almost no loss of convenience. So will the comment section prove to be right? Will I make downtown Disney in roughly 17 hours? Or will I end up looking for a tow after running out of juice somewhere? I guess we'll just have to see. What's going on? So it is right now 4:10, as you can see on my phone, and I'm fixing to leave. But you may notice two sets of headlights here in the back. This here is the Tesla Model 3 Performance that I'll be driving, and that one here is a long-range Tesla Model 3 that Pat is going to be driving, and we're going to try to make it to downtown Disney by tonight at 9 p.m. We'll be having a beer, clinking some glasses, who knows.
I'm Pat from Tesla Guys, and we're gonna be putting out a lot of content really soon.
We gotta get on the road because, you know, we got a long ways to go and 17 hours to get there. So, we'll see you at the first stop. It's freaking freezing here.
So we're on leg 2 of the trip. We had to stop early on the first leg because we left. It was 23 degrees out. We were already pushing the limits of this particular Model 3. So I wasn't willing to go ahead and drive at 65 or even 60 miles an hour, which is what the car was telling me to do. So we just stopped a little early. Not really a big deal since the supercharger we stopped at was on the way. I think I was about 24 miles of range left when we had to stop. And according to my car, I probably could have made it, but I really wasn't willing to push it when there was another supercharger that was right off the same road we were on. So we just stopped. Not a big deal. Now that it's warming up a little, I think we shouldn't have any problems getting the full range out of the car. It's about 53 degrees now. We're trying to keep it to about, you know, just under 2 hours per leg. That way, all of our pit stops should be, you know, in between 10 and 15 minutes. And I think if we can keep our pit stops in the 10 to 15 minute range, we might actually make this pretty close to the 17 hours. And if that's the case, I'm truly going to be surprised. Does that negatively affect my range? Let me know in the comments. There is one downside, definitely, I think, to traveling with a Tesla. They don't really consider the possibility of somebody who has a bladder when you travel with a Tesla, because there really isn't much here, especially if you have to charge on off hours on a trip. You might not have the place to go to the bathroom. We had to go into the Panera Bread over there, but there's no grocery store. There's a Chili's here and a lot of other stores that would only be open during normal business hours. But if you were here at 1 in the morning, you're kind of using the bushes. So I think that's kind of somewhat of a downside for taking a long trip in a Tesla. Is this thing running? Or is he just really poor at parking? Tell me this is a stick. Then there'll be at least a reason that it's parked in the middle of nowhere out here. There's not.
No. Are any of these stick?
Yeah.
Very few though. What a dumbass. Just because you can afford a Gallardo doesn't mean that you have the right to park like a jackass.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a pretty neat car. I'm not kidding. This is what this is like. If I want to change lanes, I just put in the turn signal. It'll wait for a spot to open up in the left lane, move me over, back up to speed, and then when I want to come back over here, I just put the turn signal on. It brings me back over. It's unbelievable. It really is just that simple to do pretty much all the driving in this car. Every once in a while I'll get prompted to make sure that my hands are on the steering wheel, and I have to kind of jiggle the steering wheel a little bit so that it knows I'm paying attention. And really, there's nothing else to do, so I'm paying attention. I can relax. I don't have to worry. See, now watch. I'm gonna hit the turn signal, and here we go. We're changing lanes. Turn signal goes off, and there we go. We're driving in a new lane. It's freaking ridiculous. I love it. This is such a relaxing way to drive. So we ran into a little snafu on stop number 5. They are doing some repairs here to the supercharger, and it is not working particularly fast. So we're spending a lot more time on this particular stop than I think what we would normally spend, but we're still making pretty good time. So it is what it is. Having a good time. It's really easy to drive this thing on the highway too, so that's kind of nice. I like the user interface in the Tesla, but there is one flaw in my opinion. The lack of Apple CarPlay or any sort of direct phone interface is completely out of place in a car this technologically advanced. And because it doesn't have it, I end up picking up my phone and using it directly to change music or make calls. Needless to say, this takes my attention away from the road. After a couple of stops, the rest just kind of run together, as you'd expect being on the road for so long. I can tell you that this is the easiest 1,100 miles I've ever driven. But how long did it actually take? We arrived at our destination at 1:22 a.m., so the trip took a total of 22 hours and 12 minutes. Almost 5 hours more than my goal. You would think this would be where I would take a moment to gloat about how all the Tesla fanboy comments were totally wrong and the car failed miserably. Strangely enough, I don't feel like that at all, and there are a few reasons. For one, I've done this drive in a gas car many times. I know the stops and have everything down. But in the Tesla, there was the occasional hunt for superchargers, and that added time definitely wouldn't be there in a second run. And this is easily 30 minutes, if not more. I also don't really think we optimally charged for time at every stop. There were times we could have cut it 5 minutes early or something like that, but we wanted to get a little bit more of a buffer. And the third thing for me is that even with the added hours, the way the Autopilot removes stress completely from the drive is so liberating. After more than 22 hours in the car, I could have easily gone out to dinner or hit a bar if something had been opened. The 17 hours in other cars leaves you completely fatigued and mentally drained. And that's a big deal. And last but not least, this is an extreme drive to begin with. Most people wouldn't even think of driving 17 hours in one day. They'd split it into 2 days anyways. To be honest, I was shocked at how easy and normal it was to use this car to do the same drive. And for me, that's a huge win for the Tesla. Another big plus for the Tesla is that our superchargers all the way down were a grand total of $66.39. Now, in a normal car, this would have easily been over $200. In fact, a round-trip plane ticket is around $200. So, if you're in a regular car and you pay $200 to get down there, it only really makes sense if you were planning to rent a car when you flew. Otherwise, you're probably getting away for a lot cheaper to just fly. But in the Tesla, you can get here and back for less than $200, and you don't have to rent a car.
and that's friggin' sweet. Another comment made often about owning a Tesla is that you just charge it up at home so you always have it ready in the morning. Well, now I'm on vacation, so I can't plug it in. So what's it like to have a Tesla on vacation? That's gonna be the next video, so be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification because trust me, you don't wanna miss this. And if you wanna see my first impressions of the Tesla Model 3 performance that prompted this journey, check this video out. My name is Michael Fire Jr. and this is of course For the Love of Cars, and I'll see you in the next one.